Hey YouTubers, today I'm going to make a video talking about my experience with buying an Ultra Bee on Alibaba. So there's a lot of misinformation out there about purchasing these bikes on the internet and specifically on Alibaba. There's some people that claim that Alibaba is a complete scam and to stay away from it. And then, so I just want to kind of clear things up based on my experience with buying my Ultra Bee on Alibaba. I'll go ahead and give you the conclusion right now and just tell you that buying a Ultra Bee or a Light Bee is the only way I would acquire one is from Alibaba. And the simple reason is you're just going to save a lot of money. And there's very little downside to it. I mean, the main downside is that there's a wait. You're going to have to wait a month or two to get your bike. And that's really it. That's really the downside. So I did purchase a little history on me on the Ultra Bee, on the Sur-rons, is I did buy my Light Bee from a U.S. distributor online and Lunicycle. And I, in my opinion, paid way too much for it. I think I don't remember the exact figures, but it was, nearly $5,000, I think, for that bike. And when I got around to buying my Ultra Bee, I found out that I could buy it on Alibaba. So I went that route on Alibaba. And if I were to buy a new Light Bee today, it would definitely be on Alibaba. I would not use any U.S. distributor for it. Just doesn't make any sense. So this video is specifically focusing on my experience with buying my Ultra Bee on Alibaba. And so here's the happy ending to it all. Oh, that's not it. Sorry. Yeah, so here we go. My Ultra Bee is finally here. This is a picture I posted in the subreddit forum, the Sur-ron subreddit forum. And if you're considering buying a Sur-ron, either an Ultra Bee or Light Bee, you should definitely subscribe to this Reddit forum because there's a lot of information in here about not only buying the bike, but maintenance and things like that. And you can ask your own questions about it and upgrades and so forth. But this video is on my experience buying it. So I posted this one on the day I got it. So this is so it says here I made my PayPal payment to buy this bike from Alibaba on 7/31, and it arrived on 10/18. So you can see that it took about 2.5 months. I think that's really on the long side of what I've seen. I think some people have been able to get them in a month, but for some reason mine took longer. I know one reason is it got lost in transit. It made it to the States, and then when it got to the States, it got lost in a warehouse. I don't know how that happens, but it happened. It got lost for about a week between, I can't remember, like Iowa and Georgia, and they didn't know where it was, so it took them a week to find it. Anyway, that's the happy ending, though. I got it. The box was in great shape. There was no damage whatsoever to the bike. They really packaged these well. And it's been a great experience. I spent that day putting the bike together. Like I said, I used PayPal, and my total was $5,891, including shipping and PayPal fees from Alibaba. I got it with the VIN intact and the MCO included. Okay, so that was total cost to my door, $5,891. So you want to compare that to what you would have to pay to buy it locally. I mean, stateside. So I went on Lithium Power Sports and plugged in, my information. And so, they have the bike marked down from $6,499 to $6,349, $150 discount. But then shipping is $245, and then sales tax is $474. So this total is $7,068. So we've got a difference there of $1,200 to $1,300. So that's the motivation. I would also mention another very important point is the bike that you can buy on Alibaba is the street legal version. Okay, the street legal version has, I don't know if I can pull up a picture of it. Yeah, here it is. You might not be able to see it. Here, we can zoom in. Yeah, I don't know if you can tell, but it's got these, it's got the blinkers on the front. It's also got blinkers on the back, and it's got a working brake tail light. I mean, it's even got a holder for the license plate. So it's good to go for riding on the street. You have to upgrade the tires to put some street legal tires on it. But besides that, it's got everything it needs to be legal. And it doesn't show it on this picture. It comes with some crappy mirrors that you're going to want to replace. But if you buy the stateside version of this, you're getting the dirt version. The dirt version doesn't have all this stuff on it, and it's going to cost you quite a lot to add that stuff on there. And so that's really a big motivating factor. I wanted to ride mine on the street, so I wanted to get it tagged and everything, and I'll get to that in a few minutes. But so let's rewind back to when I started thinking about buying my Ultra Bee. And when I did that and I found out about Alibaba, I had some missteps. One was I sent out a general quote. I don't recommend doing that at all. People will be calling you at 3 o'clock in the morning from China, and just you'll get all these random quotes and everything. What you need to do is identify 2 or 3 solid sellers. What I mean by that is they've been on Alibaba for 3 or 4, 3+ years, and they've got a good reputation on the Reddit forum. As I mentioned before, if you search on this Reddit forum, you'll find out who the legit sellers are. And I can tell you 2 now, and it's 2 the one that I bought from, and then the one that I was also making inquiries with. And so the one that I would recommend, of course, is the one I bought it from. And I bought it from Ann Chen. And that was, this is the seller here. It's Chang Zihu Victory Technology. So that's the person and the company that I bought it from. There's another one that's probably even more popular, and I did have communications with her. That's Meryl Zhu, and that's Chang Zihu Double Springs Machinery. So those 2 are solid. You're good with either one of those 2. I think there's 2 or 3 others, but yeah, the one that I would recommend is Ann Chen. She was great, and I can demonstrate that quite easily. We had a lot of communication, and she answered my questions directly that I had. So how did this all go down? Well, on last year, July 26, I contacted Ann. I also contacted Meryl, and I got initial quotes from both of them. The quotes were very similar. There's just a couple $100 off. Merrill's was actually even less. So I did a little back and forth between the 2 of them, and I actually talked to Meryl on the phone. Just be aware that when you start talking to them, that they think that you're ready to pull the trigger at that moment. So I wouldn't really go down this path until you have the money secure to pay for this. You've got to pay with money you have in your bank account. You're not going to do any sort of payments or anything like that. I don't believe that's available. In any case, you got to be ready to pull the trigger after you contact them. they're all business. They're business people. They want to have your business. They're very aggressive about that. And, but they, don't contact them unless you have the money to really do this. Don't waste their time. Okay. Yeah. So I got in contact with Ann, and there were certain things that I needed to know. And so you can see Ann started sending me all these pictures of the Sur-ron. I think she just wanted to make it clear that, hey, I'm a legit seller or whatever. And so she sent me all these pictures. And then I had questions about, I'm just going to scroll through here. I had questions about shipping. I wanted to know that I'd get a full VIN intact. And then I asked her about the MCO because I wanted to get it tagged. The MCO is the Manufacturer Certificate of Origin. That's what you get before you get a title. So you get that from the manufacturer. And yeah, I'll get to that in a moment. So I wanted those things. I asked her about the MCO. Maybe I should go ahead and talk about the MCO. So the MCO is a Manufacturer Certificate of Origin. And let me just say that you do get something in Chinese that looks like an MCO, but I found out later that it's not a real MCO. And you're likely not going to be able to get this tagged through your state DMV. I tried to do it in Florida, and I couldn't do it. So I had to go through a website called Dirt Legal, which I highly recommend. But I want to just say this right now. Don't worry about the MCO because it's not a real MCO. That you'll probably get it anyway. So I don't think it's anything that you should worry about. What you do need to get is an intact VIN, and they used to scratch them off the bike, and I think that they've stopped doing that for the most part. But when you get your contract written up, you need to write that into your contract that you want an intact VIN, and if you don't get an intact VIN, you know what? You're gonna return the bike. You're gonna ask for a refund. If you've got a scratched out VIN, the police think your bike is stolen. So even if you don't want to ride it on the road, you need an intact VIN. Okay, so anyway, let's scroll on down. So I was a bit undecided between using Ann or using Merrill. Like I said, Merrill's was a little bit better. So I went back to Ann and I said, hey, because Ann had originally quoted me $57.50, and I got a quote from Merrill for $56.99. So $50 or whatever. So I went back to Ann and I told her that I got a better quote, and she lowered it a little bit to $57.20, so $30 less or whatever. So now there's only $31 separating the two quotes. And at this point, Ann, I had actually told Ann that I was going to go with Merrill, and she was very disappointed, of course. And she kind of kept pleading with me to stick with her. And what I realized was, hey, this person probably doesn't do quite as much business as Merrill does, and I might be. And she was very strong in her communication all the time, like night and day, basically. So. She kept sending me all these pictures and everything. So I said, hey, I'm just going to go with Ann. I might get some more, good communication and so forth. And I think for me, I made the right decision. I really like Ann. She's great. So I don't think you can go wrong with Merrill either. Or I know there's some others other people that have provided a good experience for buyers. But the MCO thing was really also another thing that made me decide for Ann, because Merrill just wouldn't guarantee that I would get that. And then Ann sent me a picture of what she thought anyway was the MCO. And that's what it looks like. And it's as official as you're going to get, or as close to an MCO as you're going to get. But like I said, that wasn't accepted by by the state of Florida, and Dirt Legal told me that it wasn't a real MCO. So I don't know the technicalities of why it's not. I paid $200 to have it translated into English. I took that to the Florida DMV, and yeah, so it didn't work out. So my advice to you is don't worry about the MCO. You'll probably get it anyway. It's not a real MCO from what I've been told. But you do need to make sure you have an intact VIN. Okay. So I made my decision for Ann on 7/31. So within 5 days of my initial communications with her and Merrill, and I made my PayPal payment. And yeah, this is an important point. It's going to cost you maybe 2% to use PayPal, but yeah, but you're going to have the assurance with PayPal that you can ask for a refund if something goes wrong. Don't try to save $100, here and there, or $200 here and there, at the expense of, not having the assurance of being able to get a refund if something goes wrong. So please use PayPal. You're backed up by PayPal, and the credit card that you're using that's behind PayPal to actually make the payment. It's kind of like double protection. And Alibaba has some kind of assurance thing that comes for free with the purchase. So you're kind of triple backed up. So that's, don't try to work around that. I've also heard that some sellers on Alibaba will try to skirt the system and not do the payment through Alibaba, but through another payment means. Do not do that. This is how you're going to get scammed. Okay. Don't do that. Make your payment through Alibaba. Use PayPal. Right. If you don't do that, then, you're putting yourself out there to get scammed. Okay. So, yeah, me and Ann were back and forth. And, I asked her about, how am I going to charge this thing? And so they send you a transformer. Now, for 2024, I've heard that you'll get a US charger, not the 240 volt charger like I got with the huge transformer. So, yeah, ask about that if it's available, you want the US charger for sure. The nice thing about having the US charger is you can fit the US charger underneath the seat of the Ultra Bee, and you can ride it somewhere and charge it and recharge it. I can't do that because I'd have to take along this transformer with me, and to buy the US charger after the fact, it's going for about $500 online. So if you get the US charger, definitely get the US charger with the bike. And then, after that, I should mention, these sellers also have ways to avoid certain taxes, and they'll do stuff like, she'll say, avoid tax, just use Oregon State to save the cost. Okay. And then she mentions that if you use credit card PayPal, you'll have a charging fee of 2 or 3%. So, and Alibaba has a 2% transaction fee. It sounds like, so they have ways to save you money on taxes, and they're being sincere about it. So don't get worried about that when they say, hey, I'm going to put Oregon State on your sales receipt or whatever. So they figured out tricks to save you money, and that's good. So go along with those. And you can see my final. So once we negotiated everything, she's got my order here for me to make the payment. So basically, yeah, it's not like eBay or something where you go on and you just hit buy, or Amazon. You do negotiations, and then once you get done with all the negotiations and you make agreements on everything, then you make your payment, and there's a contract. So here's the contract underneath here. And once that's all agreed on, then you make your payment. If I click here, I get an option to use PayPal. So you just need to have your money in PayPal or whatever to make your payment. And then, after that, So I made my PayPal payment, and then after that, it takes about, it says, I need 7 to 10 working days to send to local shipping agency warehouse. Okay, so and then it says, normally 2 months, you get it from you pay to receive. Okay, so it takes about, so she's telling me it's going to take about 2 months. This thing comes over on a boat. It says by sea firstly and by truck to your door. So, she's been very honest with me, telling me about the time frame of it. One thing that you're not going to get is you're not going to get like this tracking number where you're going to see where it's at every second of the day. It just doesn't work that way. Okay, and let me know when it was on the boat. Okay, so you gotta be patient here. Once it gets on the boat, then you're just going to have to be patient. And I waited about a month after that, and then I recontacted Ann. So our communication kind of dropped off, and I didn't see any reason to bother her. Let me go on down. She did send me a picture of the intact VIN somewhere down in here. Let's see. Yeah, so once she sent a picture of my intact VIN. So there's this stamp, this metal plate on here, but there's also, if you zoom in, you can see the VIN written on the bike itself, and that's what they usually scratch out, is that VIN. I think it's just where it's at. It could be. It's in here somewhere. Anyway, I was able to zoom in and see the intact VIN, and you want to see that. So she was showing me that. Oh, there it is right there. Yeah, there's the intact VIN for my bike. So that gave me a good feeling that, things were on the right track here. And she's showing me that, hey, this is what happens, when they scratch it out. You don't want that. You'll never ride your bike. That happens, you need to return your bike. Okay? Don't accept a scratched out VIN. All right, so let's go on down. I waited about a month, and then I asked her what was going on, and she sent me, I think this clearly demonstrates that Ann is a good communicator. Okay, so there's my motorcycle before it left China, and there's what she wrote on here. This is on the bike, and that was on the bike when I got it. Let's go on down. Yeah, so I contacted her. This is this is September, and I said, hey, what's going on with my? So she sent me this. I'm not going to zoom in on it, but she sent me this funny little. Maybe I will. Yeah, it's showing the route of the boat and where it's currently at. So she sent me this. So it looks like it's nearing, it went by Savannah, Georgia, and it's nearing New York. Okay, so that was kind of cool to see. So the boat wasn't, even in September, the boat wasn't quite to the States yet. So that was that's not quite 2 months after. So then, so then I just wait, and then finally, I got a call out of the blue one day from somebody, a shipping company statewide, and they were telling me that my bike, I had a large package. They didn't know what it was, a large package, and it was, they need to schedule it for delivery. So I coordinated that schedule for delivery. And, and then all of a sudden, the day came and went that it's supposed to have been delivered. So I called them back. Make sure when somebody calls you that you get their name and who they work for, and write down the phone number or whatever, because, in case you need to call them back. And that's what happened in this case. I had to call them back, and they had lost my motorcycle, and I'm fearing that it's gotten stolen at this point. And so I got to tell you, the most sketchy part about this whole thing was not anything to do with China. It was the shipping once it got to the States. It's really crazy because that's when I had to do a little worrying was after it got to the States. It wasn't from China. It was what was going on here. Anyway, they lost my motorcycle, and it took them about a week to find it. Yeah, I should also mention that there's delays that occur because of customs, and yeah, there's just a lot of delays and things built in. And finally, I told Anne about I thought the bike might be stolen, and she said she had never heard. She said, I heard one time about stolen. She only heard of something getting stolen one time, and she didn't think it was a thing, likely because the bike was large and heavy. Yeah. Now, I don't know if it's a sales tactic or not, but or what it is, but the salespeople in China, I don't know if it's just because they're female, but they're very affectionate. They'll refer to you as dear, and they'll say things like love you and give you smiley faces and kissy things and all sorts of things. I don't know if it's what that is, if it's flirty or whatever, but just roll with it. But yeah, so finally I got my bike, and I let her know that I got the bike and whatever. We've had some contact since then. She's wanting to sell me more stuff, of course. But she wrote me this nice thing here, wishing me Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So, yeah, I think I covered all I was going to cover. And yeah, so if you have any questions, then just ask the questions. Yeah, you got the money, get the bike. It's a great bike. Having a lot of fun with it. You can see the videos that I've made.